Getting that out. Oh, yeah.
Good thing I got about 100.
Yeah.
All right, let's call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Malumbi.
Here.
Osterloo.
Here.
Genslinger.
Here.
Sonny.
Here.
Penny.
Here.
Dosher.
Here.
Jerza. Larson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Any conflicts of interest to come before this body before we look at the agenda? Hearing none, let's move on to the agenda. It has been provided in the packet of information that was provided to us. Any additions or corrections to it? Hearing none, we are ready for motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded, that the agenda be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Approval of previous minutes of 9/13/21. They also were provided in the packet, and you should all have an opportunity to review them. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, I assume we're ready for a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded that the minutes be approved as provided. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Approved, opposed, say. Hearing none, the minutes are approved as presented. Next, we need to schedule a meeting in October. So the first date usually would be the 12th. Do I hear a motion for that one?
Move to approve. Second.
Moved and seconded that the blanket for the next meeting as set for October 12th be approved. Discussion.
That is actually a Tuesday, it's not a Monday, because we have a holiday on Monday, just so you're aware.
Thank you. Any further? Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. A variance request from Jason Bates at 1112 North Raleigh. He has applied for a north side yard variance of 0 feet versus 3 feet required for an addition located at 1112 North Raleigh Street, legally described as Lot 16, Block 4, B.A. Scott's Addition, City of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota. 7 real estate property is zoned R2 single family residential. Talk to us a little bit, Mark, please.
It was noticed in the paper, letters were sent out to the neighbors. In the packet, you have 2 responses that were approval for it. I just received a third one that was in favor of it, none against it. How this came about was neighbors to the north actually came to us and said that there was a bunch of building materials there. They were wondering what was going on. And then after a little while of investigating, a building was being put up there. So John went and looked at it. We've got some pictures that you can see in the packet for the attached pergola that's going on to the north side of the house. One of the letters that was in favor of the 0 foot is the neighbor to the north that he'd be encroaching right up to. Jason's here if you have any questions for him at all.
Comments, questions?
Are we asking permission or forgiveness?
Hi, Jason Bates. I'm fully aware that when you build a building, you have to have a variance. It's not a building, it's an awning for a hot tub. So my mistake. It's not attached to the house. It's could be taken apart very quickly. So I mean, if you want to call it permanent or temporary. But like I said, it's not on his property. I've talked to the neighbor extensively, and he was worried about his draining. So I put a gutter and drainage on it. Now he's totally fine with it. So like I said, it was my mistake. So I guess permission and forgiveness. If it was a building, I know the rule, but like I said, it's just an awning.
You said
that wasn't attached to the house, or it is?
No, it's not.
So it's like a carport, only without a car underneath, it's just a sauna.
It's just to keep the elements off the hot tub is all.
So then he asked about the drainage, and you put the gutter, which is on your property, on his property?
It's right on the line, and I have it drained onto my property, and he was totally fine with it. And I have text messages, if you'd like to read them, that he said he was good with it. He actually said, that's exactly what I was hoping you were doing, the way I did it. I continued to finish it because if you do not approve it, I'll just have to move it to the back of the house. I can take it apart in 10 minutes. It's, you know,
Your posts don't go into the ground, they just stand up.
I have the clamps into the cement, but a couple screws and I could pick it up and move it. So no, they're not into the ground. I actually thought with as far away from the line was from his building, I thought even with 3 feet, I would have been fine if it was a building, but he has a larger property than I do. He thought my property line was right on my cement, but it actually wasn't. You can see where the pole is, so I'm good the whole way as far as not on his property, but it's right up. It's a couple inches too.
Other questions?
John Haig said that since it's anchored, it's a permanent structure, since it's less than the 3 feet away from the house, that's why we called it an attached, otherwise he'd have to do the fire rating and everything like that for it. That's why we called it an attached pergola, but it is a permanent structure under code.
Do I hear a motion, seeing how I hear no other questions or comments?
I'd like to comment. My name is Drew Boyden. I own the property to the north, and I fully support Jason in him getting this variance for his hot tub pergola. We fully discussed the positioning of the pergola, the drainage. I don't see there would be any reason to impede him getting this variance.
Okay. Thank you for your comment. Members of the board, questions? Hearing none, I assume you're ready for a motion. Let's hear it.
Well, I would move to recommend approval with the condition that it's not later enclosed. It stays the way it is now.
It won't be. It's going to stay just like it is.
That side without even building on.
Yep.
Right now, with the way that looks like with the slope, it's gonna be more to your property versus the concrete taking it away to the west, the way it looks to me. So,
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said.
I said with that slope of that rough, that flat pitch you have, it's gonna go to your neighbor to the north, which is him.
Yeah, there's a rain gutter on the north edge.
I understand that, but then a lot of that water that was run on that concrete obviously wasn't gonna go toward your way, was it? Or was it sloped toward the?
It wasn't concrete before, it was rock.
Yeah, it's rock between the remainder of the original driveway and behind the pad, clear to the alleyway.
It's all rock.
As long as we're collecting the water off of the pergola structure, and that's directed into the rock next to Jason's garage, we don't have a drainage problem.
Well, if you don't see no drainage problem.
No, we're in good shape.
That's what you guys are gonna have to decide later on, if there ever is.
Sure. No, we're all right.
Is that a second?
I'll second it.
Is there discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion on the motion? I assume you're ready to vote? Let's go roll call, please.
Malumbi,
I'm going to vote no on this one, and the reason for voting no, yeah, if everybody in town starts doing something like this, why do we have rules?
Osterlin,
Yes.
Genslinger,
Yes.
Sonny,
Yes.
Kenny,
Yes.
Larson.
I have to agree with Skip. No.
4-2 motion carries for approval with the recommendation, or with the condition, no further enclosement of the structure from the pictures shown. It'll be heard on the 4th for Board of Adjustment.
Great.
Next item on
Thanks, guys.
the agenda is the plat of lots 1 and 2 in tract 1 and lots 9 and 10 of tract 8 in Wild Oak, addition to the city of Richmond, Davidson County, South Dakota. Mark, talk to us a little bit, please.
They're planning out a couple more parcels out of their development there, out of a couple of the tracks. They have the elevation certificate on them. We did have one question on track between the two tracks there. Yeah, that's the one. 9 and 10. There's a 3-foot hole on the parcel line. Public Works requested more information from the engineer or the surveyor. We haven't got that back yet. That's the only concern that we might have.
3-foot hole. Any idea what's that all about?
There's some drainage issues in that area, and it all goes along that. John can probably talk about it more since he knows the area pretty well.
Yeah, between the homes that are run east and west, north and they are north and south, is a natural drainage line that goes into a culvert at the curve there. And right along the property line between 9 and 10, if you look at the map, that runs from the west to the east. And it goes underneath the road there and continues on to the pond. As I understand, one individual bought those 2 lots and they're going to put one home on the 2 lots. How they're going to solve that problem is, don't know. It's up to somebody that knows more than I do. But it's certainly going to be an issue. They're going to center a home on those 2 lots. One home on the 2 lots because it will go right through the middle of their basement if they're going to do that. Or they're going to have to divert the water. I don't know. It's, in years past, when we've had heavy rains, there's been a constant pond between those homes on that lot line that runs east and west. So, that makes sense.
That makes sense. That makes sense. It'll be interesting. County doesn't have to look at this, do they?
No. They're going to have a good site plan to meet all their setbacks and everything like that. We haven't heard owner or anything like that who it is. Nobody's approached us for building permits, so we do review at that point to see, make sure it meets all the required setbacks and drainage at that point. And an easement, because there's an easement that goes along between 9 and 10. They'd have to get rid of that.
And without having received the response back, my recommendation would be to approve it contingent on that response. And I would assume with the certificate that the owners buying the property would know that whole location is there. It could be a tricky situation, but hopefully there's a way to remedy it.
It's probably not your all concern, but at this point, but it's going to be the builder's concern when they look at how they're going to set a home on those 2 lots. And I've heard them mention setbacks. The homeowners association of Wild Oak have different setbacks than the city setbacks. So once again, their problems.
There has been discussion on this whole, I'll call it an island,
Yes.
of the drainage issues and possibly putting a piece of tile right down the back of everybody's property line going that way. But there's so many sprinklers in there that you'd be tearing up everybody's sprinkler, and the person that was gonna do it didn't want the liability with that. So it's kind of stopped for now until they can figure that out.
Something's going to have to happen, and that probably won't happen unless we approve the plats.
I don't see the easement on the plat.
I think the original plats had, the original proposed plat had easements.
No, there's a 5-foot easement on each side, utility easement.
Yeah, that's what the dotted line is.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. I
Yeah,
printed off
yeah.
4 pages, 2 pages. My mistake.
Yeah, in years past, there's been standing water, the length of that east-west run where there's an easement. Now, for the last 2 years, that was dry, I haven't had a problem.
You know, I bet you in September of 2019, there was a lot of water standing there.
Are the utilities, you know, on the back sides of these lots, or are they out in front?
There's the possibility that there could be cable or fiber or something like that in the backyards. I'm not for certain in that area if there is or not.
I can't remember.
Other boxes are out front, but there's not to say there isn't something running back there.
It's going to be interesting to see how that house sits on that lot, on those lots. If what was discussed here is what's going to happen, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, you can almost see the culvert that runs underneath the road. You see the end of the sidewalk on the far left side?
Yep.
There.
Right
And
there.
then go across the street. And there's the culvert that goes underneath the,
And the flow is toward the house that's existing to the right, left there?
and it flows from the right of the picture all the way to the left to the culvert.
Everything comes this way.
Yep. Thank you.
That's going to be interesting. What's your pleasure, gentlemen? I think lot 2 over there is going to have some issues too with drainage problems. What we're looking at.
Jay, have you ever voted no on a plat?
I have.
Have you? This one makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it.
You know, the other option that we have, is we could table these until we get further information too. Wouldn't hurt a thing either. Might speed up things for you folks.
I mean, they would have to have the information to us before the council meeting, or else then the council then would have to table. So this just allows, I don't know if this is pertinent to a sale or anything like that, but yeah, we should have the information that we need in order to make the decision. So your decision here is either you table or you allow the council, you allow them to submit the information for council. If we don't have it, and at that point, the council would have to table.
I like that idea. What do you think, John?
Well, you know, it's almost like buyer beware.
Well, yeah, it
If you
is.
want to buy those 2 lots, here's the problem with the drainage on those 2 lots. But if you want to buy it, good luck, you know.
Well, and not only the 2 on the north side of the road, but those 2 on the south side of the road are going to be an issue too, in my opinion.
I don't think there's ever been any drainage issues down on lot 1 and 2.
Okay.
No, there's never been anything there.
And you've already got the foundation heights for that.
Well, and if their drainage plans show that that one would actually work once the house gets set on there. No, my only concern for all the plats that were submitted was just that north area.
If, talking about 9 and 10, if there were two lots sold to two different people with two different homes going on it, there wouldn't be an
It'd be
issue.
fine.
No.
But I would hate to be the buyer saying, well, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
Well, you
With-
have to find some way, a solution is what he would have to do, but, there isn't one for him. But, again, like
And with
Joe-
the new information that we're now requiring, I feel more comfortable now that the buyers should know what they're receiving. Not to say that this information is given to them up front that I don't know. But obviously, they've been out there, they've looked at the lot. I think it would be irresponsible for us to allow a hole in a neighborhood like this, knowing that it's there without a plan to alleviate it. But like you said, the person does know what they're purchasing.
And Joe, could that person more or less build and block up that natural drainage going to the east?
Very
of the road
possible.
And carrying on?
Then we do receive phone calls like that, and we're required just to tell them it's a civil matter, because drainage on private property, the city has no control over.
And who knows, the buyer of those two lots could put a home on one of the two lots, leave the natural drainage the way it is, and say, I don't want anybody to sell to me, so that's just gonna be an empty lot. I would just, if they are planning on one big home centered on the two lots, there's gonna be problems.
And that could be resolved at the time of the building permit application, is when we figure out what their drainage study actually has to be for that.
Right, there's still a secondary review once we get the building permit.
Well, and you're going to have to also vacate that easement,
Right.
right?
Let's have a motion.
Well, like Joe said, the last one there, somebody comes up with the information before the council, I think we just give it to the council. If there's no one else out like that, then they can table it. So I'd say give it to them on that, if they come up with the information, what they need.
I would go along with that as well, with recommendation to council, that if you don't have the information, it would be wise to table.
Correct. That's what, yeah, but that's what Joel said, if they don't come up with the information, then they would table it. I feel.
All right, do I have a motion
I have a motion.
and a second?
And a second.
Is there further discussion on the motion? Everybody understands what's going on here, I think.
Is that correct, Joe? Would that be the? if you don't-
Yeah, because then you're giving it a chance to
Right.
move forward on their current timetable.
Sounds good.
All right, let's go roll call again, please.
Genslinger,
Pressure, pressure, pressure.
I'm gonna say no.
Sonny,
Yes.
Penny,
Yes.
Osterloo,
Yes.
Malumbi,
Yes.
Larson.
I'm gonna go no too.
Motion passes.
All right, let's go on to the next item. A plat of lots 13 and 14 in tract 1 of Wilo Golf Club addition to the city of Mitchell, Davis County, South Dakota. Information is in the packet. I don't think there's any issues there compared to what we've been discussing.
No, our only big concern with this one was whether or not it was encroaching on the cart path that's there. I've also reached out to them to make sure there's no encroachments with that. We already know that there are some encroachments on the lot across the cart path right there. But these, I haven't heard back from him on this yet, but I don't believe that there are any.
Well, and if there are, they can give permission. So, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded that, let me read the thing again. Plat of lots 13 and 14 in tract 1 of Wild Golf Club addition to the city of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota be approved. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. I think we can go vice vote on this one. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Item number 10, plat of lots 17, 18, and 19 in the replat of tract A, Wild Golf Club addition to the city of Mitchell, South Dakota. And we have pictures of that as well.
Yep, 3 lots again, we've received the elevations for that. There's only 1 lot left along that whole line. There's no drainage issues that we can see with this at all.
I wonder if any of these are going to go ahead.
Nope.
Because they built up houses out there, pretty nice ones.
Yeah.
Discussion on the project, on the proposed plats. Hearing none, we are ready for a motion.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded that plats be approved as presented. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none, I assume you're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Just a quick side note, if you look, this is the 9 lots that they just are proposing to plat out right now. So they're filling in pretty good out there. This one was already approved, has been platted, they're building on that one. This one was doubled up, or excuse me, split, they're putting a townhouse there. They're putting another townhouse over on the other side of Homer Court. So really, there's not a lot left out there. They've filled it in a lot this last year, or will be filling it in with these new places.
You get a lot of new neighbors.
Yeah, John's hit into probably a lot of those lots with his golf ball.
If you don't like it, you know how to slice it, don't you?
By the way, I didn't hear any opposition,
No.
so the motion is carried. Thanks for the information there, Mark. Any other business, of course, come before this body at this time? Hearing none, it's time for public input. If you need to address the city planning commission on an item that is not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium, state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. And I remember to bring my timer up today. See no one come to the podium.
So, hey, can I go back to that about, you guys were the building? Can we, kind of slap their hands for doing that, kind of give more of a price for the variance? I mean, $100 for variance when you build something is cheap when you're ready to do it.
It ties to the building permit. The building permit can get doubled.
So that can do that?
Yes.
Okay, that's.
There is some sort of slap on the wrist with it. You can't call it a fine because we don't have the authority for that, but it goes with the building permit.
Kind of with that, I might have actually changed the vote if you guys voted before me.
Well, I mean, we don't have rules.
That is true, but you're looking at just an awning type deal. Yeah, I know, it's not a building, it's,
If there were been any opposition from the adjacent property.
well, the north guy. But the thing is, we're gonna come up with another one coming on that Kirkpatrick one, which has got that pergola there.
In my short time here, what I've seen is it's not the first person that has the problem, it's the second. But then I do know that then they didn't have to buy that piece of property either. To me, it's not the first group that has the problem, it's always the second.
But then that's what's gonna come up to the neighbors, later on, that's a civil matter on them part.
Yep.
Of course, it's a 50-foot lot again. Is there you always say there's a hardship of a 50-foot lot, so.
But the other hardship, and always in the back of my mind, is what happens when the fire department gets called up there. That, to me, is a big issue.
Yeah.
And I am concerned about that every time. Has the building not been built, I don't know
I was gonna say, you know, he tried to do something to the city again, you know, and, but like I said, if it wasn't totally attached, it's just anchored to the concrete. You know, again, that's a different,
That's the only reason why I love it.
Yep,
Because
me
it's
too.
not an anchor, it's not a,
I asked
it's by
that.
definition of a permanent structure, but it's not that permanent.
Well, once again, this board is to grant permission for the
Right.
And we're recommending to the council, so that you can overturn that pretty easy. So you got a couple things you got to the council, that one there and about that drainage, make sure they come up with information on that.
You know, the council will, guide my time on the council, will 95% of the time agree with the recommendation of this group. And the thing that weighs heavily on either side, agreeing or disagreeing with you all, is the neighbors, input from the neighbors. Very important. And so, it's pretty much a shoe-in of your recommendation goes, but you have to have some compelling information that wasn't, that did happen here.
But as a north neighbor, I shouldn't know what he wanted. But he was for it. You know, I wouldn't have allowed it whatsoever. Because I don't want to put more water on my property. I mean, how close you get to a house, you know? Or the drainage, you know, but like I said, he was in favor of it, you know, type deal, so, you know, like I said. And like Joe says, the second one coming around that they sell it, because that was a variance once before that house, because it was a veteran or something. And they allowed that, you know, but obviously it changed hands again, so.
Well, I will mention, you know, I think it was Bud Williams, when he was mayor, at the suggestion of this body, because we weren't getting the 95% thing that you're seeing at that time. And a number of us went to, and I'm pretty sure it was Bud, and asked that somebody like yourself be sitting here with us to listen to our discussions and so on. And that has really helped the whole knowledge of what's going on here and how we think sometimes. And we really appreciate you being here. And that other mayors have continued to appoint someone to sit with us. And your discussion information, although we don't have to act on it, is important to us too, I believe, the body sitting here. And I think I'm the only one sitting on this council that was back in the old days before we had a representative from the council sitting here. And it's kind of interesting, county planning commissions have to have someone from the county board sitting on that planning commission. City planning commissions cannot have anyone sitting in an official capacity on this board. So we really appreciate your ex officio, and we've said this before, I've said this before for other members like yourself to come and chat with us. So thanks a lot. Is there any other information or business to come before this body at this time? Hearing and seeing none, we are adjourned.